We're going to cover some questions from the sister section, inshallah. The sister says, it's a bit long actually.
They always write essays.
She's,
Before I begin the lecture, Bismillah. Start writing. The whole time I'm speaking and they write in the question, and the question about another lecture. Just fine. No sisters, I'm just speaking on it. No
this is
issues.
pretty good though, it's worth it. She says, in this part of the world, the woman does the grocery shopping, picking and dropping the kids, taking them to and from school, tuition, etc. While the man does an 8 to 5, comes home and plays Xbox, tennis on the weekends, rest. This leaves the women tired and exhausted. Then this man goes seeking a younger second wife. Does the responsibility of his children and his old parents fall on the first wife while he enjoys with his second wife? Right.
This is a setup, akhi. I'm being set up. I will be banned from Dubai for the rest of my life. That's a tough one. I had a feeling this was going to come at some point in my life. Did not think it would be tonight. Anyways, yes, she's right. Not always, but she's right. There are cases. Look, see, you cannot generalize in these issues. Seriously, because if you generalize, someone would be oppressed. If we're going to assume that every single time a brother takes a second wife, it means he's leaving all the responsibility for the first wife so he can go have fun, it's haram and dhulm for every person who takes a second wife, because that is not always the case. Very often and sometimes it's the guilt of the first wife that he took a second wife to begin with. Or it is simply halal for him. Allah made it halal. The man may have certain needs that the woman is unable to meet, or does not even understand them, or does not even identify them, and he's intelligent enough, instead of divorcing her and looking for a second wife and getting a new wife, he looks for a second wife. I mean, I can give you hundreds of examples, but that's not the time. What I'm saying is we cannot generalize. But if the brother is guilty as mentioned in the question, where he is spending his whole time working, or then the next thing he's doing is playing, and then after all he makes the first wife do everything and he can go looking for a second wife, he did not meet the criteria which Allah laid down for him to take a second wife. And taking a second wife is not a joke. It's a responsibility. If you're not able to meet the first responsibility, how are you bringing another responsibility? I'm not going to go far. You have one car, and this car needs transmission, and it needs it needs oil, and it needs new tires. It has all kinds of problems, and you haven't fixed it even though you've had it for months or years. Then you go buy another car that needs just as much work. What are the chances of you fixing 2 cars now when it took you 4 years and you didn't fix the first one? Never. Because you're already procrastinating and lazy, and now you have 2 cars and say, oh, now I have to pay double the money. Ya Sheikh, khalas, I'll take a bicycle. So you have 2 cars parked and you're taking a bicycle to work back and forth. Because you were lazy with 1 car. Which means if you're unable to deal with 1 wife, why do you want to take a second wife? If you want to take a second wife so you can run away from the first wife, even though the first wife didn't do anything and you're giving her more than she can handle, and you're not being just in this regard, then you will be guilty before Allah, and you will come on Yawm al-Qiyamah with 1/2 of you leaning to one side, which indicates the hellfire. So brothers, I mean, as much as you love women, we have to do it with reason. No one is telling you don't. No one has the right on planet Earth to say to a man, don't take a second wife, and this is no, why are you thinking like this, and you're sick-minded. No. It's something that the prophets did. The prophets of Allah, the most noble and the most pure of creatures, the best of people, this was the norm for them, including and on top of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. 11. When he passed away ﷺ, no one can open his mouth. This is the way Allah created men and women. No woman can object to the way Allah created us, nor can she object to the legislation which Allah gave us. But we brothers cannot abuse it. If Allah gave us a legislation and He gave us conditions, we have to meet the conditions to enjoy the halal. Otherwise it becomes haram. So the advice is, brother, obviously you cannot do this. You cannot be busy working, then busy playing, and then have the wife do everything and then go take a second wife. That is not adil. It's not fair. This is dhulm. And the brother has to be advised, because he will eventually wrong the second wife the same way he wronged the first wife. This is his attitude. When the second wife now has kids, and then he will finish the Xbox here and play Wii over there, and then he will take a third wife and he will put a Nintendo or some other game, and khalas, his whole life becomes working and playing games in all three homes. And the women are the men. She's dropping kids off and picking them up and doing tuition and so on and so forth. This is not fair for the sisters. It is not fair for the sisters. And sisters, be fair for the brothers as well. If your husband is giving you his right, giving you your right, and he's maintaining and so on and so forth, don't be on his case every time he wants to get a second wife. Allah allowed him to do so. If he's meeting the criteria, let him do it. You sometimes don't realize your selfishness. You want them all for yourself. Sometimes when you're so selfish, you lose everything. It's the way life is. You have one bottle of water. You say, either I drink the whole thing or I'm not going to drink anything. You could share it with someone, get 50-50. You may say, I want the whole thing. Someone gets it before you. You're thirsty, you die of thirst. So sometimes the sisters are so clingy to their husbands, and they don't let him breathe until he gets sick and tired and he divorces her. Now she doesn't have anyone anymore. And then she doesn't get remarried. And he goes and marries 2 other wives. Had you let him the first time get a second wife, you would have kept him half of the time. If you love him so much, mashallah, tabarakallah, you can still afford to see him half of the time. Very often, the second marriage fixes the marriage. Very often they're tired of each other. The wife is tired of the husband always at home, and he's tired of her, and so on and so forth. They need a break from each other. The ideal solution is a second wife. She will miss him now. She will prepare herself more when he's coming home because she wants to compete with her co-wife. She will do things which before she was neglecting. Of course, the man is the winner in this case. Like, yeah, stop fighting over me. It's okay. I love all of you. But the men usually don't say that. But I'm just saying that, brother, if you say that, that would be nice. So sometimes it's a solution. We have to change this mindset that this, polygyny, which is more accurate than polygamy, since polygamy is a husband having more than one wife, or a wife having more than one husband, which we don't have in Islam, whereas polygyny is a man having more than one wife. This concept, which we have become, because of the westernized way of thinking and the brainwashing, as some taboo or some evil, we have to change our mindset. This is normal. It's a normal procedure. So both husband and wife have to be accommodating, have to be open-minded, provided that they both meet the conditions which Allah Azza wa Jalla laid down and the ones which the Prophet ﷺ exemplified in his life. Now,